Hey class, and welcome to lesson 11.4, Problem Solving Properties of Two-Dimensional Figures. Let's begin by taking a look at the essential question that we need to answer throughout today's lesson. And that's how can you use the strategy acted out to approximate whether the sides of a figure are congruent? Well, let's begin by taking a look at our Unlock the Problem. It says, Lori has a quadrilateral with vertices of A, B, C, and D. The quadrilateral has 4 right angles. She wants to show that quadrilateral ABCD is a square, but she does not have a ruler to measure the lengths of the sides. How can she show that the quadrilateral has 4 congruent sides and is a square? So we're going to use the graphic organizer below to help us solve this problem. So, very first step is to read the problem, which is what we just did. So we begin by, what is it exactly we need to find? Well, I need to determine whether the quadrilateral has 4 congruent sides and is a square. So what information do I have or do I need to use? Well, the quadrilateral has 4 right angles, and we saw that up here has 4 right angles, and to be a square it must also have 4 congruent sides, because we know that for a square it has to have all sides the same length. Now, how exactly will we use the information? Well, I can trace the figure, cut it out, and then fold it to match each pair of sides to show that sides AB, BC, CD, and AD are congruent. So, we can take a piece of paper and we can trace over our shape up here, and then we can fold it over and fold it over again to see if the sides are of equal length. So I traced the quadrilateral and cut it out. I used acted out by folding to match each pair of sides. I folded the quadrilateral to match sides AB, which is up here, to CD. So you kind of fold it over across there. I fold the quadrilateral to match sides AD to sides BC, and that would be folding it over this way. So I folded the quadrilateral diagonally to match sides AD, which is this side over here, to sides AB, which is this side, and that would be by folding it diagonally this way. So what else do we need to help us solve the problem? Well, we need to show that sides BC and AB are congruent, and that sides and AD are congruent. By folding it along the other diagonal. So we also need to come back up here and see if this one is congruent with this one by folding it diagonally this way. Now let's try another problem. So Terrence has drawn a triangle with vertices E, F, and G. The triangle has 3 congruent angles. He wants to show that triangle EFG has 3 congruent sides, but he does not have a ruler to measure the lengths of the sides. How can he show that the triangle has 3 congruent sides? So, what is it we need to find? Well, we need to determine whether sides EF, FG, and GE have the same length. So, what information do I need to use? Well, first, the figure is a triangle. With 3 congruent angles, which means all 3 angles have the same measure. So how will we use the information? Well, we can trace the figure, cut it out, and then fold to match all 3 sides to see if they are congruent. So let's jump up here. So we're going to record our work by drawing the model after each fold. So we know that we can take E and G and fold it over to check G and F. And we are going to fold it over diagonally that way. So then once we fold it, we will see that E and G is congruent to side G and F. Now we can also take E and F and we can fold it over to check side here. So when we do that, we would be folding it this way. So we were going to see if side EF is congruent to GF. Now, the next option we have is to see if this side is congruent to this side, and we do that by folding it right down the middle. So we also want to see if EF is congruent to EG. And we should be able to do that by taking our cutout figure and folding it over. So, how can you use reasoning to show that all 3 sides of the triangle are congruent using just 2 folds? Well, since 2 pairs of sides of the triangle are congruent, the third pair are congruent, since they have related sides. Okay. Alright guys, well that's it for tonight's lesson. I don't believe there was any new vocabulary that was introduced. Make sure that you're going back and reviewing your vocabulary from lessons 11.1 to 11.3. There was a lot of new vocabulary that's been introduced in those lessons, so make sure that you're reviewing that every day. Anyway, I will see you in class tomorrow.